Are we good?
Good. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, everybody. So we are joined with Kathy and Pat from Yoga for Scleroderma, and they're going to be walking us through some different exercises. I'm not sure if you heard Kathy speaking, just to do some quad strength, stuff like that. And so I will probably pass it on to Kathy now because she'll do a better job explaining that. But yeah, feel free if anyone has any questions to just raise your hand on the reactions, and I'll try to direct it to the appropriate person during the call.
And Pat is going to go ahead and open.
Okay. So my name is Pat McMillan, and I was diagnosed with systemic scleroderma in 2013 at the age of 60. At the time, so what my symptoms are is I have Raynaud's, GERD, aka acid reflux, and I have range of motion and digestive issues. I was actually in a cancer rehab program. And my instructor had mentioned that she was going to a arthritis and scleroderma yoga training and thought it would be something that I would be interested in. So I took it, and as we kind of say, you know, that's kind of how things started for me in the group. And I want to also mention that my personal yoga practice actually began when I was working in Antarctica. Needless to say, I am the Yoga for Scleroderma photographer. And I travel, and I won't let my range of motion or digestive issues stop me. To kind of give you an example, last fall I was in Australia and New Zealand, and last month I actually was in Easter Island. So as my husband likes to say, I have been to all the continents and all the oceans of the world. I think he's pretty proud of that one. He has a lot to help with me around that. So I also want to say, if I sound a little nervous, it's because I am. Generally, I'm the one that shares my experiences and not be the one that leads the group. So please bear with me as we go through this practice. So I will now turn it over to Kathy.
And my name is Kathy Randolph, and I am a Yoga for Scleroderma and yoga teacher. I'm a certified yoga therapist. And I started teaching Yoga for Scleroderma in 2002 when the person who was putting on the conference, which was going to be in Las Vegas that year, thought that yoga might be something, because the topic of the conference was living well with scleroderma. And so they sent me a bunch of literature, and I created a program basically out of Maureen May's book, and went on down, and I had two programs. One was called Relax, Health is Just a Breath Away. It's going to teach the breathing techniques. And the other one was called, they named it Yoga for All Levels of Mobility and Ability. So I had this nice room. I brought 35 handouts because that's how many they expected me to have. And so I had open space on the floor, chairs all around, and people kept coming and coming. So then they opened up the big sliding panel and gave me the room next door. And people kept coming, so then they opened up the doors to the hallway, and I had 112 people. So we then made videos for the Scleroderma Foundation and went on to continue, and now we're a team. The goal now of Yoga for Scleroderma is that our program is taught by teachers who have scleroderma. So Pat, Alexis, until recently Lori, who just passed, and I am today your demonstrator because we've had a change of cast. So we are going to go ahead. Now, what I'm gonna present today, and Pat will be talking it through, but I'm your demonstrator. So I'm gonna start, and now this is your bed, okay? So either you have it elevated if you have GERD, or you have an inclined plane, pillows, blankets. These are wool thrift store blankets that I use to cover my tomatoes in the early spring. And so everything I'm demonstrating here is actually your bed. And then I'm going to move up to a chair, which is either the edge of your bed or a chair. We're going to do gentle range of motion for neck and shoulders. We're going to do strengtheners for core and quads. That's why I'm doing it on your bed, because that's how this one works. We're going to have tips and tricks for how to go to a yoga class or do a yoga practice with a video at home or your own yoga practice. If you don't get down and up off the floor, don't put your knees on the floor, your wrists don't bend, and you don't do down dog. You can still do it. And then we're going to be doing a whole series on digestion. And so now I'm going to turn it back over to Pat, who is going to begin teaching the breathing.
Okay, thanks, Kathy. So what I'd like to start with is the full diaphragmatic breath. It's one of our basic breathing techniques, and please feel free to do it with me. So get into a comfortable position, relax, exhale completely, relax, and let the inhale take care of itself. And so with the full diaphragmatic breath helps to increase your circulation and will help with your Raynaud's for those that have it. I also like to use it because it's also calming. It forces me to pay a little bit more attention to my own breathing, which is also having a less stressful thing going on right now. So I will now let Kathy demonstrate some range of motion for neck and shoulders.
All right, so I'm going to start out with neck and shoulders. So first, just scrunch your shoulders up towards your ears as tight as you can and squeeze. And then I want you to let them drop. Don't lower them, just collapse. And squeeze. And collapse. And squeeze. And collapse. Now what we're doing here is squeezing all the blood and fluids out of those muscles. Think about capillary refill, if you press on your thumbnail. And then fresh blood comes in. We're trying to release a lot of the lactic acid and adrenaline that gets stored, move it out of the muscle, give us a better chance of some decent motion. Now we're going to get a little range of motion in the neck. So drop your chin down and just kind of let your head hang there. This is stretching the muscles in the back of your neck. Then we're going to kind of roll over to one side, stretching the muscles down to the other side. Come back to the front and over to the other side. And hopefully you feel a stretch on the side of your neck. Now we're going to go across the back, but you do this without tension. You don't want to be grinding on the cervical vertebrae. It's just kind of a nice stretch. Back the other way. Now to stretch across the shoulder blades, bring one arm up, take a hold, and pull it across. And release. Now, if you're doing that full diaphragmatic breath that Pat just taught you, you're moving a lot more oxygen, now we're going to do it on the other side, into the muscles. And the way you release tension out of muscles is stretching in the presence of oxygen. Many of us, we tend to hold our breath when we're concentrating, and you're not getting the bang for your buck you could get if you were breathing while you were doing these. And release. Now I'm going to teach my number one neck stretch. So put one arm out to the side. Now, you may bring your hand around back if you can get a hold of the side of your skull. If you have more range of motion, you can reach over the top. And if your arm doesn't go that high, you're just going to use the weight of your own head. So now I have my left arm out, so my head is tilted to the right. Now I'm going to turn and look down at my right knee. And hopefully you feel the stretch right here down the side of, just a little round to the back of the side of your neck. And keep that breath going and release. And other side. So arm out, possibly taking a hold, pulling to the left, turn and look down at your left knee. And release. Now you'll notice I'm sitting in what's called diamond pose. Because if you do go to a class or you are getting on the floor or even working on your bed, many people find this one doable. Now I'm going to demonstrate the quadriceps and core strengtheners that I encourage you to do in your bed, quite possibly in the morning. Like I live where it's cold right now. And so doing stretches in the morning in your bed while you're still warm before you get up and let the cold tighten your muscles up can be very helpful. So I am on an inclined plane. So this is either in your bed, or if the head of your bed is already elevated, then that would work fine. Now, I'm going to press my low back flat against the floor, bring my right knee up, put my hand on my knee and push. My hand's pushing away from me, my knee is pushing towards me. If you are in a chair, slide back so the lower back is supported by the chair, lift your knee up and do the same thing. It's more effective lying down, but it works in a chair. And release. I'm going to do the right knee again and press. And release. Last one, press. And release. You'll feel it in your quadriceps and in your core, left side. So if you're in a chair, just make sure your low back is supported. And
These are really,
release.
so these are great in helping you get in and out of the car, off the floor. I use it when I travel, getting in and out of safari vehicles, because sometimes they can be a little bit challenging.
Now I've done 3 on the right, 3 on the left. Now to get to the side obliques, because the core just isn't the muscles in the front. Now I'm going to do right hand, left knee. And release. Right knee, left hand. And release. And now, both knees. This is the killer. Sorry, the tongue is an essential part of doing. And release. So the key to this one is your low back is flat, either against the chair or the bed. And your knee is pushing towards you, hand is pushing away from you, and remember to breathe.
Right. Thanks, Kathy. So I think like some getting up and off the floor. Just so that everybody knows my own personal practice, I either stand, I'm in bed, or if I'm on the floor, it's because I'm staying there for the rest of the practice. I personally injured my left knee while I was taking a hike when I was working in Antarctica. So getting up and off the floor is not something I want to do multiple times during the session. So Kathy will now demonstrate some of the options, as well as down dog, which we all know is the dreaded worst thing for me to do in a yoga class. I'm just being honest here.
I think getting down enough off the floor and down dog are the barriers that keep people from going to classes. So we have some tips. Now, these are push-up bars. And they are a very specific one. And with the products we talk about, we don't receive any commissions. These are the best ones we found. And we change at the drop of a hat when we find something better. These cost about $16. And there's a link where you can purchase them on our webpage and buy the small size. Now, the thing about these is your wrists don't have to bend. In fact, your wrists can't bend. That's how they work. So I'm going to put them on the floor. So if the barrier getting down enough off the floor is usually you can't put weight on your knees and your wrists don't bend. So I can put these down and lift. And I am now in the dreaded down dog. My wrists are completely straight. And I was able to get off the floor. You can also do down dog with a wall. Now, I don't have a wall in front of me, but you're working like this. Your wrists are straight. This is the down dog pose. You're getting the hamstring stretch, the stretch and strengthening in the back, the extension of the arms. You can also do down dog with your forearms. So on a wall. Another way to do down dog, and the one that probably is the most, is now I'm going to move to a chair. And actually, 2 chairs. Many yoga studios have chairs as props. They're used regularly. And you can assume this is the back. I just can't get it in the camera. Do your down dog here. Keep in mind, down dog is a 90-degree. Meet your new floor. If you go to a yoga class and they have chairs, if you set 2 chairs facing each other, you now do everything they're doing on the floor. It's exactly the same. It just completely takes out getting down and getting up.
Great. Thanks, Kathy. So since you're on the, you want to do some range of motion for the spine while you're on the chair?
Absolutely. So now this is a whole chair series, and excuse me, I'm going to go poke this so I can see. Thank you. So if you work in a chair, and there are lots of really lovely chair yoga practices, they're getting more and more popular. We want to do the same full range of motion that you would do standing or on the floor. And so we're going to begin with forward bending. Now, you can forward bend right from here and put your knees a little wide. If you have GERD, you never go below slightly above level, right there. Now, another way to do it that's less likely to flare your GERD is if your leg is straight or as straight as it will go. And this is another place where that diamond pose is very helpful. And then lean forward. And this way, you're not ever really getting too close to aggravating your GERD because you're pretty vertical. You can do one leg at a time. And also, to stretch out the hip and low back, need a chest pose. People do this lying down or standing, but it is just as effective seated in a chair. I hope you're all joining me if you're sitting in chairs, since I'm spotlighted, so that's all I see. So that was a forward bend going down toward the floor, straight leg forward bend out in front. And I'm going to show you one more prop. Sometimes when you're working in yoga, they have straps, but a lot of them are synthetics and they're very irritating to the skin. And if your grip isn't working that well that day, this is 100% cotton. It's very soft and it has loops. So it's easy to use, just like any yoga strap, except you don't have to grip anything. These cost about $8. And again, there's a link on our webpage. And they change from time to time. If we find something better, we abandon the previous one and recommend the new one. Now we've done forward bending, which is for your back, hips, hamstrings, which for almost all of us is the tightest muscle, the one that limits our movement. It's also the one that makes it hard to straighten your legs without having your tailbone pull under. Now we're going to do a side bend. So this is a triangle pose. Couple of different arm positions. You can do it with your arms out. You can also do it with your fingertips just touching. And first, curve to the right. And breathe. And you're really trying to open up the rib cage on the side that's stretching. Come back up and left. And come back up. And release. Relax your shoulders. Next, a twist. So I'm going to scoot a little bit forward. I'm going to put my left hand on the outside of my right knee, and I'm going to turn to the right. So I'm going to inhale, exhale, and turn. Then I'm going to inhale and try and turn just a little bit further. You can grab a hold of your knee, grab a hold of your chair, anything that will help you rotate around a little bit further. Inhale and come back to center. And the other side. So my right hand is on the outside of my left knee, right arm around and turn. Then I'm going to inhale and try and turn a little further as I exhale. And if you're using that full diaphragmatic breath that Pat taught, where you exhale completely and then relax, you're moving more oxygen into the muscles, releasing more of the lactic acid, adrenaline, and carbon dioxide that we store up when we work out, when we get scared on the freeway by somebody, behaving badly. And this is a chance to release that.
Thank you, Kathy.
A back bend. Back
Kathy.
bend. Yeah.
So could I go ahead with the Brahmari, if that's all right with you?
Before the back bend?
Yes, please. Okay,
Okay.
go ahead, do the back bend. Yes.
Okay. The back bend is cat-cow. You see people doing it kneeling all the time, but it is very effective in the chair. You can hang onto your knees and do cat and cow. You can put your arms out, cat and cow. And this gives you a lovely back bend that is also a core strengthener. You can do it standing, but it's very effective in a chair if you hang on to your knees. So that is forward bending, back bending, side bending, twisting, a full range of motion for the spine done in a chair.
Great. Thank you so much.
Now, if you'll spotlight Pat.
I will go into Brahmari. So because of, oops. I'm hoping you can hear me. I seem to have frozen. Okay.
I can hear you and see you. You're moving.
Okay. Well, I froze on my screen. So Brahmari is, because of my digestive issues, I actually use Brahmari to help. As some of you were listening earlier, Brahmari was Dr. Sundar Balasubramania has done a lot of research. This particular Brahmari, aka bee breath, I call it the humming breath, will increase your salivation, especially like if you have Sjogren's. So it's a very easy thing to do. I like doing it pretty much anywhere. You can actually hum to your favorite song. So what we'll do is exhale completely, relax, let your inhale take care of itself. Now with your lips closed, as you exhale, hum. And I tend to do these sometimes when I'm sitting in traffic because I also find it to be a little less stressful for me. I hate sitting at traffic lights. And so that's basically what Brahmari is. And I do use it a lot, especially with constructive rest. So Kathy, if you would go, I would like to now have Kathy demonstrate constructive rest. So with this, I usually do this in my bed at night when I go to bed, or early in the morning when I first wake up with my other sequence. So lay flat on your inclined plane. Put your feet about a comfortable distance away from your hips, and they're about a hip width distance apart. And now put your knees touch. For hand positions, I actually have several that I use. One is one on my chest. The other is on my abdomen. Depending where my digestion is at that particular point, and I think we all know from one extreme to the other, I will put both hands on my abdomen, both above each other. And then, yes, thank you. The other is a position that I've been recently working on is my palm is actually on my hip bone and my fingers are actually like in the fold of my legs. And now I will do Brahmari breathing. So exhale, relax, and as your inhale takes effect, then as you're exhaling with your lips closed, hum. You can also do the full diaphragmatic breath here as well. It just depends what you feel more comfortable with at that point. And I do this maybe for a couple of minutes in the morning and a couple of minutes at night. I personally have run the gamut from constipated to diarrhea, and I'm finding that this has been extremely helpful for me. Like I said, I travel, and the last thing I want to do is be running to the bathroom on an airplane. And that is the constructive rest. And I will have Kathy do a rest and digest guided relaxation. So you're in the same position that Kathy was just in.
And I'm going to turn off my video for our guided relaxation. Find a comfortable position. You might be seated or lying down. If you're lying down, bend your knees, put your feet a little wider than your hips, and let your knees rest against each other. This is a resting position called constructive rest. Your hips, your belly, and your low back can all release. If you are seated in a chair, scoot back so that your low back is supported by the back of the chair. Bend your knees, lean back, and relax. Feel your hips, your belly, and your low back release. Breathe. Exhale completely. Then relax. Let your inhale happen naturally. No effort, no strain. Your lungs refill because you empty them when you exhale. This is the full natural breath. The full diaphragmatic breath. The breath that brings oxygen in to circulate through your body when you inhale. Exhale completely. Relax. Feel yourself inhale naturally, effortlessly. This is the full natural breath that releases what you don't need anymore when you exhale. This breath does more than deliver oxygen. The rhythmic movement of your diaphragm massages your internal organs and helps release tight muscles and fascia throughout your belly. This rhythmic breath and internal massage reduces the overstimulation of the vagus nerve. It reduces the fight or flight response. It helps you reset your natural rest and digest cycle. Continue this breath. Exhale. Relax. Let the inhale take care of itself. As you relax, your breath will relax too, becoming smooth and even. If you like, you can place one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly, becoming even more aware of the smooth, even rise and fall, feeling that gentle inner massage. Continue to exhale. Relax. Let the inhale take care of itself. Now add Brahmari, the humming breath. Add humming to your exhale. Hum while you exhale. Then relax. Inhale naturally. Hum while you exhale. Relax and inhale. This breath increases saliva production and carries more digestive enzymes. You may feel the vibration from your humming through your hands resting on your chest and belly. Exhale completely while humming. Relax. Let the inhale take care of itself. This practice, constructive rest with Brahmari breathing, massages your internal organs. Reduces overstimulation of the vagus nerve. Reduces the fight or flight response. Increases salivation. delivers more digestive enzymes. All of these allow you to reset your rest and digest cycle. When it's time to return to your normal breath, draw your attention back through the five senses. First, hearing. And taste. Smell. Sight. And finally, touch. Maybe move a little. Perhaps a stretch. Remember that you can relax, release, rest, and digest at any time with just a breath. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Kathy. And Pat,
Thank you. So does anybody have any questions?
I thought I checked out your website and I saw some videos. Well, one, I don't know if it was, we're doing